Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Ask Dr. Jack Show. I am Dr. Jack Belitz, chiropractor in Omaha,
Hello, I'm Aaliyah, Dr. Jack's assistant.
and together we make up the Ask Dr. Jack Show 2.0. So, what's the question for Dr. Jack today?
So today we're talking about kids and network spinal and medications and going back to school. Kind of that whole situation. It can be really stressful for parents with ADD kiddos. So
It really is. People that have kids with ADD have very often been sucked into the school idea of get your kids on these drugs, and you almost get shamed into having to do it because the teachers want you to, and I think it's because it makes teaching a lot easier. It's horrible to me that these kids have to do it. Now, some of them I get, they're a big problem, whatever, but for the most part, a lot of these kids don't need to be on these things.
there are small, simple solutions. My kids' school, they let my oldest daughter have one of those fidget spinners, and so she could sit there and spin and do her work. And another kid had a yoga ball, is that what it's called? Those big balls that you sit on, and they got to sit on that while they did their work, and it helped them be able to move and get some of that energy out, but still focus and not distract the rest of the classroom.
So some of these school districts are doing some things, but up until this point, it's been very common for if a kid has a little bit of a issue, it's like, here, let's get the parents to get them on the medications, and parents don't. Now, some parents don't want that, they really, but they don't see another alternative, so they do it. And then come May, it's like, okay, I'm getting you off that for the summer. And before you know it, school's starting. I mean, my gosh, it's starting before the middle of August this year.
We barely get 2 months for summer break, 2.5 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so now these parents are being forced to, deal with the fact that they've got to get these kids back on this medication. And it's not fun. And I feel you. I really do. I just want you to know, very often there are things that can be done for these kids to get them to the point that they don't need this medication. Too often we find that this medication is these actions is basically what we're talking about. The actions that the kids are doing are caused because there is so much stress in the nervous system. A lot of times it's mental emotional stress. Let's not kid things. There's a lot of mental emotional stress that is around on kids today that was not around 20, 30 years ago. But there's also a lot of chemical stress. You've got immunizations, whether what side of the aisle you fall on, that doesn't make any difference. Everybody agrees there's a lot of chemicals in those. Plus, look at the diets of these kids. It's nowhere near like what it was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, McDonald's was a treat, Yeah. Today, McDonald's is, a staple, and that's just one example. But, we're getting so much processed food, not only out at fast food, it's becoming more and more of our daily diet, but also the stuff we cook at home is a lot of times processed.
Or sprayed with chemicals or grown with chemicals.
Exactly. So
somewhere.
Huge amount of chemical stress. And then, the physical stress that these kids undergo, which, yes, we had maybe a little more physical stress 30 years ago with climbing trees and riding bikes and falling off of them. But there's also physical stress in not getting exercise. Sitting in front of a screen all day and just moving your thumb is the extent of a lot of kids' exercise.
Yeah, they say, people with office jobs that are sitting in a chair all the time can have a worse back than the guy that's pouring concrete, because that sedentary not moving is just as bad sometimes as moving and getting injured.
Exactly. So you got all three types of major stress really hitting these kids' life. And a lot of times it shows up in tension, physical tension on the spinal cord that causes the higher cortical centers in the brain to come out of that state of, okay, how are things going and what can we do, to, oh my God, I got to put out this fire, then this fire. And your brain just goes from thing to thing to thing to thing. And
it locks them in that fight or flight state, basically.
That sympathetic stress, yes. And basically what happens then is the they can't focus on one thing. They're looking from thing to thing. And if we can get that tension off, if we can get the brain to find that tension and then release it, and then as that tension comes off, their brain can focus easier and clearer, and they don't need that medication. So there's a lot of amazing things that we can do. The first step is getting the problem properly diagnosed, not just, some psychologist says, oh, you have this. Let's figure out what it is they have. I mean, yeah, we know their brain is, but maybe there's a reason why the brain is not able to focus. And if we can come up with that and then get rid of that, then all of a sudden we allow the brain to focus.
Yeah, there's lots of things, diet is another big one that often helps out kids with these symptoms. Cutting the sugars out, cutting the grains out can make a huge difference.
Again, chemical stress, it's all right there. So many amazing things that we can offer you. If this is a concern, please, 402-333-4848. Give us a call. Let's get your kid in real quick before school starts. Let's see if we can analyze this, see if we see a reason for this. We can maybe start working on this real quick right before, the school starts. And if we can see some progress, maybe we get your kid off of that stuff before we have to deal with it. We still have some time left.
You have nothing to lose by looking into some natural options, really.
No. A couple minutes of your day. That's it.
With the back to school special, we're actually giving out, the whole family gets an exam for $50. So like, share this video, comment below, and give us a call.
Stay healthy, Omaha.